Dear students, welcome to Tungal online classes. So today we will start with a new topic, that is anatomy of different type animals. So that is earthworm as well as frog, right? So these are there in your syllabus. So one more is there, that is cockroach. It is removed, already I have mentioned that one in the previous video. Let us start with the first one, that is earthworm, right? As you know, earthworm is a friend of farmer. Why it is called so? Already I have told you. So this animal, since it is burrowing animal, it burrows. It makes the burrows in the soil, and simultaneously it feed on that soil, and so remove it or excrete it out as worm casting. Okay. So whenever it does such kind of activity in the soil, the fertility of the soil that increases. Okay, and when that fertility of a soil increases, farmer will be happy since he is getting good crop yield. So at the end, right, hence this animal is said to be as the friend of farmer. Okay, so this animal, especially whenever it makes some of the burrows, that moment, so there the aeration that occurs easily, as well as the percolation of the water that take place into the ground. So that moment the crops roots easily they can gain the water, right? So this is how this animal is very much useful to the human being, especially the farmer, right? So let us study the digestive system of this earthworm first. In anatomy, we'll start with the digestive system of the earthworm, right? The digestive system of earthworm mainly includes certain parts. You are observing here. So this is the structure of the earthworm, in which mainly the digestive tract is shown over here, right? So it has already you know mouth is there. So prostomium is there. So these are the structures which are present in the first segment of the body, followed by buccal cavity is there. So I shall write all those parts here. So digestive system mainly includes the first one, that is mouth, and second one is buccal cavity, third one is pharynx, and fourth one is esophagus. Fourth one is esophagus, gizzard, intestine, as well as anus. These are the major structures that we come across in the digestive system of the earthworm. One by one, let us see. First one is mouth. So as you know, on the ventral side, ventral half of the first segment is having the crescent shaped mouth, right? Ventral half of first segment has crescent shaped mouth, right? And on above this mouth there is a fleshy lobe structure called as prostomium. Prostomium is present there, and this prostomium is a fleshy lobe-like structure, as you can observe here. And this fleshy lobe-like structure, it helps in force open the soil. It helps in force open the soil during during burrowing. During burrowing. Whenever it burrows, so that moment it helps in force open the soil. Right? So what is that? Prostomium helps for this one. Right? So this is what about this mouth. And mouth is followed by the buccal cavity. Right? Let us see here second part, that is buccal cavity. What is this buccal cavity? Already you know what is buccal cavity in case of human being. That way, here the buccal cavity that extend from the first segment up to the half of the third segment. It extends from first to half of third segment. Half of the third segment. So that is buccal cavity. Next one is, so that is pharynx. Let us see pharynx now. Pharynx is a pear-shaped structure present in the fourth segment of body. It is present in the fourth segment of the body. That is pear in shape, right? So next one is after the pharynx, it leads to gizzard. Very important point. So sorry, it leads to esophagus, and this esophagus, so that extends from fifth to seventh segment of the body. And so next structure itself is esophagus. After that one, the gizzard. Gizzard itself is present in the 8th and 9th segment of the digestive tract, right? Gizzard you are observing here. So this gizzard is extending from the 8th and 9th segment of the body. In this gizzard, whenever you observe that one, it is very strong muscular structure, that helps in, so especially mixing as well as churning of the food, right? That kind of a strong muscular contractile, so structure itself is called as the gizzard itself, right? Gizzard, it is a strong muscular structure, so which is commonly known as the food processor. It is called as. Especially it helps in mixing and churning of food. It helps in mixing and churning of the food especially. So this is about the next structure, that is gizzard. So gizzard is followed by next one, that is stomach. Stomach itself, it extends from 9th to 14th segment. It extends from 9th to 14th segment of the body, right? And it is followed by, it opens into intestine. It opens into intestine. Then intestine is, it is a long tube which extends from, it extends from 15th segment to the last segment of the body. So it extends from the 15th one to the last segment of the body, right? So this intestine has some of the characteristic features. So a special type of characteristic features that we come across here in case of intestine. So please try to understand it. So on the 26th, right? On the 26th segment, you will find some of the, so a pair of conical shaped, so extensions, so which project or which direct towards the forward, so that kind of, so the extensions which are seen in the intestine at the 26th segment, and those structures, conical structures, are known as intestinal cecum or intestinal cecae, plural, right? So this is most important characteristic feature of the intestine of this earthworm. See here, in the intestine, at the 26th segment, on the 26th segment, a pair of conical shaped structures which are projecting from intestine and directing forward towards the mouth itself. They are directing towards the forward, right? So directing forward, and such kind of structure called as intestinal cecae. Intestinal cecae they are called as. So this is more important point to be noted in case of intestine. And one more point is there. So what is that one more point? After the 26th segment, so after that one, there we come across, so some foldings on the dorsal wall of the intestine. So some foldings on the dorsal side of the intestine. See here, this is intestinal structure. So when you take the cross section of the body of this animal, that moment you will find this kind of structure, right? So in the intestine, on the dorsal side, the wall that makes some of the foldings, infoldings, and such kind of infoldings, so are present on the dorsal wall. So from the dorsal wall, these foldings are made, and those foldings are increasing the surface area of the absorption in the intestine itself. So if such kind of extensions are there, if such kinds of foldings are there, that would increase the surface area of the intestine. Hence, the digested food is easily absorbed more in amount, so by these structures. And that structure, that folded structure, is said to be as the typhlosome. Right? Very important point to be noted over here. What is that? Typhlosome. Very important point. Typhlosome is nothing but here in the intestine of this earthworm, right? So the intestinal dorsal wall that makes some of the infoldings or the extensions within the locule of the intestine, and that is called as a typhlosome. That helps in increasing, it increases the surface area of this, increases the surface area of the intestine, and hence increases the area of absorption, right? Even it increases the area of absorption, right? So this is more important point to be noted in the intestinal part. And the last part, the last segment, mainly consisting of an opening, a single opening, that is called as anal opening. So hence in the last segment anus is present. So this is how the simple digestive tract is seen in case of earthworm, right? So here we'll have to locate different parts of the digestive tract in different segments. So in which segments they are extending, where they are present, so that only you have to focus on, right? I hope you will certainly do that one, right? So this is how the digestive tract. And let us study the physiology of digestion. How the digestion process that is done within this digestive tract in this animal, let us see now itself. Just physiology of digestion. In physiology of digestion, that we come across how the digestion of food that take place in the digestive tract of this earthworm, right? So first of all, mouth is there, it is crescent shaped, and so this earthworm, so since it feeds on dead and decaying organic matter present in the soil, so it uses its muscular pharynx to suck in the soil particles along with the food that is present there, right? First of all, this earthworm uses the muscular pharynx to suck in the soil which contains the food, especially dead and decaying organic matter. It contains dead and decaying organic matter. That soil is sucked by this animal with the help of the muscular pharynx itself, right? So and later, so pharynx mainly consisting of the enzymes like proteolytic enzymes. It contains proteolytic enzymes as well as mucus in that. So here usually mucus mixes with the food. Mucus mixes with the food and enzymes digest the proteins initially here. So some part of the proteins have been digested in this region because of the presence of the proteolytic enzymes here in pharynx. And pharynx is followed by next one esophagus. From the esophagus, so it comes to the stomach, right? Comes to gizzard. Comes to gizzard. So when it comes to gizzard, so in gizzard, so gizzard is a muscular, strong, contractile region where the contraction and relaxation of the gizzard that take place continuously so as to mix the food material and churning of the food material that take place within that one, and the soil grains so that rub against the food particles and convert those large food material into simpler ones, right? So this is how the major digestion, especially the breakdown of the larger food material into simpler one, take place especially in gizzard itself, right? See here, so it helps in mixing and churning of the food material that take place, and its contraction and relaxation leads to rubbing of the food against the sand grains, which leads to formation of smaller food particles. Right? This is more important aspect to be remembered. This is about the gizzard, right? Gizzard itself. Okay. Now the food enters into the stomach. Food in stomach mixes with the secretions secreted by the calcareous glands. Here in the stomach, some of the calcareous glands are there. So those glands, which secrete the secretions, and those secretions that mixes with the food, especially the decaying organic food material, when it mixes with that food, that moment the neutralizing of the acids, organic acids, what are there inside the decaying organic matter, so they have been neutralized there, right? So this is the fact what we come to know. Calcareous gland, so that what happens, the organic acids formed in the decaying food are neutralized. They have been neutralized. So whenever they become neutral, so the food once again becomes a simpler one. And from the stomach directly, so it enters into the intestinal part. So in the intestine, what happens? Many number of enzymes are produced over here, and those enzymes which help in digestion of the food material into simpler absorbable molecules. Okay, so this is more important. It leads to intestine. Intestine means the semi-digested food material that leads to the intestine. In the intestine, many enzymes are present over here. These help in digestion of the food into simpler absorbable molecules. and these simpler absorbable molecules later absorbed in blood vessels. Blood vessels means the food after digestion it added into the blood vessels. And one more thing here is the undigested food. Undigested food material what remains over here, and this undigested food is excreted or it is removed. It is removed from the body of this animal in form of worm cast. In form of the worm cast, it is been removed over here. So this is how the digestion of the food material, that is organic food material, that takes place in case of the earthworm, right? So this is all about what the digestive tract and the mechanism of digestion. So that takes place inside the digestive tract of the earthworm, right? So this is more important aspect to be remembered. So it is asked, maybe asked in the examination. So be alert so as to learn all these physiological aspects now itself, as well as the anatomical aspects. Okay. Let us start with a new anatomical aspect of this earthworm, that is circulatory system of the earthworm, right? So in circulatory system of the earthworm, what we come across, what kind of circulatory system is seen in this annelidan, that is earthworm. So a special kind of circulatory system is seen over here in this group of the animal, that is so closed circulatory system. Okay, so here in earthworm, closed circulatory system is seen over here. This is more important aspect to be remembered over here. So this type of circulatory system in which usually the blood is circulating within the blood vessels, but in lower organisms usually open type of circulatory system is seen, where the blood flows within the body cavities called as cyanosis. In arthropoda you will find it very clearly, especially best example for this one is cockroach. So you have learnt all these aspects in the animal kingdom. Okay, so let us see here. Closed type of circulatory system means what? Blood flows within the blood vessels. So such kind of circulatory system is called as closed circulatory system. So this is the first point to be noted. It includes, circulatory system includes here blood and blood vessels. Blood and blood vessels. These blood vessels, especially, they have been classified into two types. One is arteries, and second one is veins. So see here, arteries and veins are usually present in these animals, right? So blood, which is red in color. So very important point to be noted over here. So blood is red in color because of the presence of hemoglobin. And this hemoglobin is usually present in the plasma of blood. So, but the same hemoglobin in case of vertebrates is usually present in RBCs. So this is the contrasting characteristic feature of this animal, that is so Annelida, that is so the earthworm as well as the vertebrates. So this hemoglobin is present in the plasma of blood, but in vertebrates usually it is present in RBCs. Because of this hemoglobin, blood is red in color, right? So and hemoglobin is present in the plasma, but in case of vertebrates it is present in RBCs. This is very important for NEET examination, remember. Okay, so this is the most important point to be noted over here. So this is how the system that includes the blood as well as blood vessels. What kind of blood vessels are here? Arteries and veins I said, but here three kinds of so the blood vessels that we come across over here based on their position itself, right? So what are those three types of blood vessels? First one is a dorsal vessel. So on the dorsal side of the body you will find there is a large vessel, and that vessel is called as for dorsal vessel. And on the ventral side also you will come across one of the vessels, ventral vessel it is called as. Apart from this one, so nerve cord, so nearby there is another vessel is there, and that vessel is called as subneural vessel. This is how we categorize into three types of blood vessels that we come across in case of earthworm. So let us see what do they do. The three kinds of blood vessels are: first one, that is dorsal vessel. Second one is ventral vessel. Third one is subneural vessel. These three kinds of vessels are said to be as longitudinal vessels, right? What they are commonly known as longitudinal vessels. Apart from this one, there are second type of vessels are also there. Those are called as transverse vessels. Transverse vessels. So broadly these vessels are categorized into two types. One is called as what? The longitudinal vessels, and second one is transverse vessels basically. And these longitudinal vessels, they help in distribution. They help in distribution as well as the collection or collecting of blood is being done. Transverse vessels, they only collect blood from longitudinal vessels. They only collect the blood from longitudinal vessels, that is transverse vessels. But the longitudinal vessels, they act as both the distributors as well as collectors, right? This way the broad categorization of these vessels is of two types. One is the longitudinal vessels, second one is transverse vessels. In that one, so let us go through the longitudinal vessels. They have been classified into three kinds. One is dorsal vessel, ventral vessel as well as subneural vessel based on their position itself. First one is dorsal vessel. So what is this dorsal vessel? It is the largest vessel in the body of this earthworm. See here, it extends from anterior to the posterior part of this body of this animal. So this is the largest what? The vessel is the largest vessel in the body, right? and this largest vessel which lies on the dorsal side of this alimentary canal. See here, this yellowish part itself is a alimentary canal. So it is lying dorsal to the alimentary canal. Hence it is called as a dorsal vessel itself. Right? It lies on dorsal side of alimentary canal. Hence it is called as dorsal vessel. Right? And this dorsal vessel up to the 14th segment, right? Up to the 14th segment on this anterior side, it acts as the distributor or the distributing vessel, right? And from 14 onwards, 15 onwards, it acts as the collecting vessel, right? So more important point to be noted here, on the anterior side up to 14th segment, it acts as distributing vessel, and from 15th to the last segment, it acts as the collecting vessel. This is the unique feature of this. So what? The dorsal vessel itself, right? And it has strong muscular walls. Hence, it contracts and relaxes rhythmically. Very important point. So it has strong muscles which help in contraction and relaxation. It helps in contraction and relaxation, so rhythmically, right? So this is also a very important point to be noted. And one more point is, so this dorsal vessel has internally placed a pair of walls. Very important point. A pair of walls are present in the dorsal vessel, so they prevent backflow of the blood. See here, usually the blood comes from the posterior part of the body towards the anterior part of the body, and so up to 14th segment, so here anterior part, it acts as the distributing vessel, since it distributes the blood to different parts of the alimentary canal, that is pharynx as well as esophagus, some other parts. Okay, and from 15th onwards, it acts as the collecting duct or collecting vessel, so which collects the blood from different parts of the body, right? So these are very important point to be noted related with the dorsal vessel, right? Since it lies on the dorsal side of the alimentary canal, it is said to be as the dorsal vessel. After this one, next one is ventral vessel. Yes, second one is ventral vessel. So this ventral vessel is mid-ventral in position. What do you mean by mid-ventral in position? See here, this is said as ventral vessel, and this ventral vessel itself is mid ventral in position, in the sense that so it is lying between the alimentary canal as well as the nerve cord. In between these two regions it is lying, hence it is mid ventral in position, right? It is mid ventral in position, since it lies between alimentary canal and the nerve cord. Hence it is said as mid-ventral in position. It is the major distributing vessel, remember. So it is the major distributing vessel. Why it is called so is because it extends from anterior to the posterior or the last segment of the body. It extends from anterior to the posteriormost part of the body, means up to the last segment it extends, and so blood always flows from anterior to posterior part of the body. Blood flows from anterior to posterior side. Anterior to the posterior side the blood flows, and here it breaks into segmental branches, and those segmental branches which once again branch into capillary beds. Okay, see here, it breaks into segmental branches, and they once again break into capillary beds. Once again they break into capillary bed, and this capillary bed provides nutrients as well as oxygen to different parts of the body, right? So one more point to be noted here, in this vessel there are no internal walls so as to control the backflow or something else, right? So there are no walls provided in this vessel. So this is about the mid-ventral or ventral vessel. Next one is subneural. Vessel. Next one is subneural vessels. So these are said to be as the specialized vessels that lie below the nerve cord and the inner wall of the body, right? So this vessel itself is called as subneural vessel, and it extends from the posterior part of the body towards the anterior part of the body up to the 14th segment. See here, you are seeing here up to the 14th segment, here 13, this is the 14. So up to that one it extends over here itself, right? So this is more important point to be noted. So it is lying between the nerve cord and inner surface of body, and it extends from posterior side of the body towards anterior up to one point up to the 14th segment. Up to the 14th segment it extends over here. This is nothing but subneural vessels these are. So this is how the main longitudinal vessels are of three kinds. One is called as the dorsal vessel, second one is called as ventral vessel, and third one is called as subneural vessel. Right? So this is how there are three kinds that we come across. By this we finished longitudinal vessels, and now we shall start with the next vessel, that is transverse vessel. As the name says, they are lying transversely. Transverse vessels. Right? What are these transverse vessels? These are the specialized vessels that connect the longitudinal vessels. These longitudinal vessels are connected with the help of the transverse vessels. Right? These are transverse vessels which help in connecting the longitudinal vessels. They help in connecting the longitudinal vessels, and it includes what? The hearts, and you are observing here lateral hearts are here, and anterior loops are also there. Anterior loops are also there, and the next one is commissural vessels. Commissural vessels. Like this, they have been classified into three types of transverse vessels. One is lateral hearts, and the second one is what? The anterior loops, as well as commissural vessels. So what they are, where they are, what are they helping for, everything that we study now itself. Yes, first one is heart. So here hearts it includes. See here in the diagram you are observing two pairs of hearts. One pair it is lying along the means on either sides of the gizzard, right? And here you are observing another two pairs along, means it is nearer to the what? Esophagus. Nearer to the esophagus. So these two pairs of hearts are helping in connection of this dorsal vessel to the ventral vessel, right? So these help in connecting the dorsal vessels with the ventral vessels, and these hearts have inner walls, and these walls help in preventing the backflow of the blood, right? So two pairs of hearts. One pair is near the gizzard, and another one pair is near the esophagus, right? So these help in connecting the dorsal vessels to ventral ones. They help in connecting the dorsal vessels to ventral ones, and they have walls. These prevent the backflow of the blood, right? So this is Very important point to be noted. Two pairs of hearts are there. So since these are lying near the esophagus, esophageal hearts, these are called as. So these are present on the lateral sides, hence these are called as a lateral heart. These are esophageal hearts, right? One pair lateral hearts and another pair esophageal hearts. Esophageal hearts, like this, two pairs of hearts that you come across. Along with that one, another one is anterior lobes. So these hearts are contractile in nature. They contract and relax themselves so they help in pumping the blood. Hence these are acting as the heart, but they are not real hearts itself, right? So these are, next one is anterior lobes. There are a pair of loop like structures that we come across. They help in connection of what? So these are called as supraesophageals, and this is called as the ventral esophageals. These ventral esophageals are connected with the supraesophageals with the help of a pair of loop like structures called as anterior lobes. These are a pair, these are in a pair, and these connect the ventral esophageals to supra, means above that one, supra esophageals. They are a kind of blood vessels. They are connected by these anterior lobes. These are non-contractile, so these are non-muscular in nature. These are non-contractile and non-muscular in nature. So this is also very important point to be noted over here. And the last one is commissural vessels. Very important one, that is commissural vessels. What these vessels are? These are usually lying beyond the 13th segment. See here, this is 13th segment. They are lying beyond the 13th segment. On the posterior side they are. So they are usually connecting this subneural vessels, right? Subneural vessel with a dorsal vessel, right? So they are connected over there in each segment. So those vessels are called as what? Commissural vessels. These are connecting dorsal vessels and the subneural vessels, right? So that kind of vessels are called as commissural vessels. These are present in each segments. So their segmental connections have been given by these one which are lying beyond the 13th segment. They are called as commissural vessels. So this is all about longitudinal vessels as well as transverse vessels. In longitudinal there are three kinds. In transverse, hearts are there, anterior lobes are there, as well as, so one more point is commissural vessels are there. So this is all about the circulatory system of these earthworms and how the mechanism of circulation that occurs in earthworm. Let us see now. Yes, now the mechanism of blood circulation in earthworm. Let us see. See here, from the posterior part of the body of this earthworm, usually the blood is flowing towards the anterior part of the body. When the blood comes here in the anterior part on the dorsal vessel, so it is providing the blood for different parts over here. And ultimately these a pair of lateral hearts as well as esophageal hearts that pump the blood towards the ventral vessel. And in the ventral vessel, since in each segment there is one branch, and these branches, so they make the segmental capillary beds, so that what happens, the blood that flows into different tissues of the body, in the entire body, so hence it is said to be as a major distributing vessel, right? It distributes the blood to all the parts of the body. So and ultimately that blood provides nutrition as well as gases, that is respiratory gases, to the tissues. And once again the same blood which flows from anterior to posterior one, it is once again so connected, or it is once again pumped into, so or it goes into the dorsal vessel through commissural vessels which are lying beyond the 13th segment itself. So this is how the continuous circulation of the blood that take place, so from the dorsal to the ventral, like this, so continuous circulation that occurs in this earthworm. So this is all about the mechanism as well as the circulatory system of this earthworm. Thank you.